You should never crate your dog if you're using a crate as punishment. I have learned over training dozens and dozens and dozens of rescue foster dogs over the years, and of course my dogs, that punishment doesn't really teach our dog anything. You should not use a crate for your dog if you're gonna put them in there for more than 3 to maybe 6 hours at most at a time. And this is variant based on their bladder size, their age, making sure that they get exercise and enrichment before and after. Another reason that you should not be using a crate with your dog is if you are unable to take the appropriate amount of time, every dog is different, to get your dog comfortable and accustomed and happy with being in and around the crate. This one might be controversial, but I believe that you should not be using a crate to specifically potty train your dog or puppy, because many people believe, and I get comments on this a lot, that putting your dog or puppy in a crate is going to teach them to hold their bladder. A crate can be a useful resource or tool during the potty training process to help keep an eye on them for limited times after we've got them accustomed to it. But a crate, in my opinion, should not be used in place of potty training our puppy. One of my most viewed and helpful videos that has reached and helped millions of puppy parents on potty training will be linked below as well. And I don't mean for this one to come off harsh, but you should not be crate training or crating your dog if you are using the crate as a main form of managing your dog. I'll talk about how I use a crate in just a moment, but I do use a crate from time to time to help manage a situation. Let's say I have a friend coming over who's deathly afraid of dogs. I may put my dog in a crate for an hour or put him in a pet-proofed, dog-proofed room and shut the door. In my opinion, a crate should not be used as a place we just put our dog because we don't have the energy or we didn't make the time to work with them to help guide them and show them the appropriate ways to act in a house, what to do instead of chewing on furniture, what to do instead of barking out the front door. A crate, in my opinion, is one of many resources or tools that we can use to keep our dogs safe, to keep our dog healthy. I'll talk about that in a moment. I do not use a crate daily. When they're young and my puppies are still learning and I might need to leave them unattended, I will use a crate for short periods of time when they're young. But once my dogs hit 6 to 18 months of age, just depends on the dog, I start leaving them outside of the crate in a dog or pet-proofed room with a nanny cam that I can keep an eye on my dog. All my favorite crates, nanny cams, are all on my shop page on my website, RachelFusaro.com. Now you're gonna say, Rachel, wait, if you don't use a crate daily, why do you still have a crate? Why do you still crate train? And why do you recommend crate training dogs? Number one is safety and for their health. So for example, hopefully this never happens, but it is unfortunately somewhat likely for many of us. If your dog gets an injury and they need to be on crate rest, you could use a playpen, that's an option. Or if your dog is comfortable in a crate, let's say they get spayed or neutered, let's say they get a foxtail in their paw or a torn paw pad, a crate can be a great temporary tool to keep them safe and healthy. And if they're already accustomed to it, it's not a big deal. Or if you're taking your dog to the vet and they need to do a procedure, do you know where they keep them when you leave them at the vet? They keep them in a kennel or a crate type situation. And if your dog has never been comfortable with that, imagine how much more stress that can add to your dog, which can impact healing over time. Another note on safety is the safest way to travel with our dog in a car is having them in a crash tested kennel. Second best would be using a harness and making sure they're tethered in safely. My favorite crash tested kennel and harnesses are all linked to my shop page below. But this is really important because if your dog is just roaming in your car and you get in an accident, even a fender bumper, your dog will become a projectile. And I know that's kind of gruesome to say, but that's the truth. Traveling with our dogs in a kennel is important. If they're not used to it, that can be difficult. Quick interruption because we just got 2 packages, and if I don't do an unboxing right away, this little girl is going to be heartbroken. So she gets new themed toys every month. Big shout out to Super Chewer and Barf for sponsoring this part of the video. This month is Afraid of the Bark. So this is Super Chewer. They're a little bit more durable toys for those more super chewers. And I love that they typically come with enrichment aspects. Look at her. She's like, give it to me, Mom. Give it to me, Mom. This one, you can actually, it's hard to tell with her biting at it, but you can actually put treats inside this little scarecrow. And that toy, which she's not gonna let me see it right now, is a 2-in-1 toy. So that means that when she is able to tear off the outside, there's a ball on the inside. And then for the more traditional plush toys, we have the Bark Box. I get both because I have a mix of more gentle chewers and super chewers. Look, we have Marlo. So let's first show the theme. It's gonna be a very similar theme between the two different toys each month. Okay, Marlo, what's your pick? What do you pick? Oh, she got the axe. Oh my gosh. What is that? Is that seriously an axe? Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, that looks a little dangerous, but you get it, girl. Look how happy she is. She's collecting all the toys. Okay, and then we have, oh, this looks like Marlo's twin. Look at that. This looks just like you, Marlo. Oh, wow, she's so excited. She's so excited. Okay, get it, girl, get it. You know, one of my favorite things to do is to take some of my dog's favorite treats every time we get a new box, and I love to layer them at the bottom of the box. And then I layer their new toys on top. And what this does is create a busy box, as I call it, meaning that they have to dig, sniff, and forage to get the treats out. It's actually scary for a lot of dogs to put their head into something, which is why this is such a great way to make them more confident in themselves. If you travel with your dog to a hotel, while I'm not a fan of leaving my dogs in a hotel room alone, unattended, if you had to, emergencies happen, life happens, you could take a kennel or a crate with you to leave them for an hour while you go attend to whatever you need to tend to. Now, I don't have human babies, but I look at it similarly as putting a baby in a crib for them to sleep and rest. I look at it similarly as putting a baby in a playpen, so while you're cooking dinner, you can keep an eye on your baby. I almost said dog. They're not the same. I am not saying they're the same, but it's a similar concept. See, I think a lot of times people think and hear of crating as people leaving their dogs in a crate for 8 to 10 hours every day, not exercising them enough beforehand and afterwards. And that, in my opinion, isn't the right way to do it. That could lead to behavioral issues, depression, anxiety, having them in a cage or a crate for so long. But if we use it correctly and we only have them in there for shorter periods of time and eventually can even train away from needing to rely on it, it can be a great resource. And to be quite frank, one reason I love the Diggs Evolve crate is because it has a front door and a side door like this. We have been living in rentals, small places for a while. And so I would just leave this out and the dogs would choose to go in here. I don't even need to shut the door because it's a nice den-like structure. I know that's controversial. Not everybody believes that dogs are den animals. However you look at it, my dogs love crawling into little spaces. Look at my Labrador. I didn't put him here. This is a bed that I have under my mom's computer desk. I'm living with my mom right now. I know, it's kind of wild. And he chose to be under here, even though I have dog beds, plain open, soft, the same dog beds, right behind me. Or you're like me and you feed raw, meaty bones and you want to contain that mess. This is a great place to feed your dog if you have multiple dogs, to keep them from eating right next to each other so your dog feels secure enough to enjoy their meal and not scarf it down, and to contain the mess. But to be frank, when I leave the house, I leave Finn in this room. I keep this crate in here with the door open and I shut this bedroom door right here, and he just stays in here roaming. He spends most of his time in here when we're gone. This is where he wants to spend his time. And it doesn't bother him when I close the door. It might bother Marlo. I go over you. My nerd, yay. She's like, wait, Mama, what are you doing? It doesn't bother him at all when I close the door and lock the door. Huh, Marlo? Yeah. And he's just chilling in here. There's just no qualms, questions. So on that note, if you want to learn my crate training practice that has helped millions, click the video right here. And if you want to learn my favorite foods for dogs, click the video right here. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Goodbye.